Revealing the Hidden Formats in Genesis, Part 2. And I will start where I left off. And I know I did say a lot last time. So, if you're new, let me put something up here that you don't know about. And that is there are 12 commandments. So, if you're going to jump on me right off the bat, there, you've been lied to all your life. Right there, there's 12 commandments. I left off by saying this is the definition for man, and we don't use a secular diction anymore for certain words. All the words that we need to be truthful to are here in the Hebrew text, and all the text that I will be revealing of from the Hebrew side, from the Greek side, we'll use just those words, or pretty much define how we use a lot of our words and what we mean when we speak. Now, here I'm adding, the yellow highlighted text means I'm adding, the blue means I'm removing, the green means I've made some adjustments. Whoops, this means that I added this word, so it better be yellow. Here it says be fruitful, but actually it does mean, that's why I've got the little hyphen and why I'm connecting it to it, with your seed multiply. Now, here I needed to add the word herbs, and that's because, like I told you, the first writer's formats connect one important word to the second important word, and then the least amount of words in between are to be connected to connect them. And like here, sometimes they don't need it. Sometimes I need to add a word, because here it would have been every everything, give you every. But I needed to make sure that what was in here was more truthful. And so I've added the word herbs and then vegetables as plant with seeds, because we're going to be describing food with your food. Now, I know some people still know how to eat different tree leaves, different things of the grass. So those words would have probably reflected that. But the object is our Creator is pretty much going to describe the Garden of Eden here. So what he's doing is talking about the vegetables and seeds and the fruits to be food for you. Now, see up here it says everything, even a beast that moves. Well, it doesn't really say it. It's kind of like trying to keep to a vegetarian. But our Creator did not tell you to be a vegetarian, okay? The text later, he will define what is unclean animals to eat. Example, birds, but birds that don't eat dead animals. They only eat the green leaves or grass, things like that. Same as with the animals. Animals that eat other animals, no. That eat the green, yes. All to everything, that's pretty easy, and I'm pretty sure that can be shown here. That's 31. Let me move the... And it was the word all. Let me move it up here. All. That word. And then you go down here and look, and you can see the word everyone. And let me see, I gotta move way over. Sorry if you can't hear me, but and then if I move it up, everything 54 times. Okay, so that's why it's in green text. And not every time, like I said, am I going to go over to the book and show you, or that computer, and show you that that's why it's highlighted green. You'll understand, you'll see, and just like you've seen, I had to highlight the word yellow here, up here, herbs, because I'm getting new to this, of using this type of definitions and coloring. I've done macros. I've added this macro first time in 25 years. I'm adding a different macro to my editing. So it's a little hard for me to get away from that. But I'm really trying to show the yellow words are added, or meaning I've changed them so much from I couldn't find it in the program either. So little words I'm adding that I don't think need to be there. Now I was going to look up the word in this account and see what happens here when we do that, to see if I can find a better word than the word account. And you can see I can't find the word there. Okay. Now when I'm having a hard time and it's like this, I will use the theorists that they have built into Windows Word, and I can click on theorist to help me get a better word. The words that I'm trying to put in, like the word account, I use the word there. Catch back up. Sorry, I forgot to click over here to get you here. But the words that I'm trying to use are small words, easy enough for a 12-year-old to read the book and have an understanding, a very good understanding. Okay. The thing here is there won't be that many difficult words when I get completely done. I'm trying to make it easy enough for a 12-year-old to read the book and understand it without having to turn to a secular dictionary to understand the words. So, from the word from when to how, I think, let's see, that's okay, and then what happens here when I do this and I click on the word when, well, that would have been, it's not there. Okay, so either they added that later at some previous time, or they too just knew that when they were writing it, they needed to add it to make it read in English. So the thing there is not every word can be found in the Hebrew side. In fact, Strong's kind of notes that he only tried to pick the most important words out. Okay. So the word how, I know in other places, it most likely would have been used as the word how. When could have been used as the word how. I had shown you the word which and how many different times they used words for that word. In other words, that are so far off that you can't trust them. The word now to there. Let me see. I'm just going to click on it real quick. No, that's another word that they've added that's not in Strong's. But greens to shrubs. Now, I've highlighted this because this color because I wanted to make sure that when I'm telling you this here in this video, I'm going to change it here now to green, but greens. But the object is I wanted to make sure you've seen that this word was too far off to mean what I'm saying here. Okay? And the earth had no plants. So it meant there was no shrub. Well, the object is no green. Greens are always tied to plants. And the field is lands, had not sprouted. The land is what brings forth the greens and not the field. Okay, a field is describing it's already there, green. Okay, so the field had not sprouted. Well, the lands had not sprouted. Some of the land has rocks, is rocky. Okay, and it can't sprout green. Okay, had to add the word only to mean only a mist, a fog would come up. And it says over the surface. Now here I should have done this, that I'm trying to replace these two words for something simpler, and it's the word cover. Now the water to seas, that you'll probably find is not a problem. I don't think you're really going to hammer me over something like that, because that's just common sense that kind of can be used different ways as water. Can even mean rain, could be lakes. Anyways, covered the ground. Now here, okay, it hadn't sprouted yet, so it had to be ground. Although I told you the surface was land. So maybe I might have to change this word to land later. It's not set in stone, as they say. Then YV formed. Now here, I didn't put the word LORD and then say every time that you're seeing the letters YV, understand that was the Hebrew word YHVH, but I didn't need to do it like what you see down here. Okay. Okay, I know what's going on there. And man from the ground and breathe into their nose, their nostril, or breath came from their nose. So this isn't that hard to say that I need to explain that. But with a soul to be alive, the editors that I'm correcting didn't believe that you could have a soul until after you had this meditation practice that I spoke about in the first one, and then you become a god. But the thing here is you have a soul, and like I said, in the description box, there's a safe way for 13-year-olds to experience it. They can do it 3 times, but it's safe enough for just one, or safe enough for 3 times if they don't get carried away. And I've put the warnings out there. And then they only really need to do it once to understand that they have a soul, and you don't need this practice to have a soul. So I have to add the word soul. And I guess I know that the word spirit, down below, when I get into what is Holy, Jesus defined what is Holy Spirit, I get into the word spirit and show it means a soul as well as breath or words that you can't hear. This sound waves is a spirit. So anyways, life alive, this here I'm not going to make yellow. Like man to Adam became a living being. Adam became a living being. And planted a garden to eat and live. Now, east of Eden, I'm getting rid of the word Eden, and I am adding the words to eat and live in. Planted a garden. Now, this doesn't mean that that's the only place where they lived. You'll find in the text that they hid in the woods where there was vines to cover themselves up, and then you'll find that there would be an open field. So this was Eden is not just something really small like a garden. Okay, it could have been 10 square miles. Okay. I'm not putting the word Eden in here. I will put it in later. So don't think I'm going to get rid of the word Eden. But what I wanted to do was explain this word here. And this is 2:8. No, I guess this is Elohim as well. So I should have put this down in here. So you don't have to do that later. Because not all the time does the word here mean greater, and that's the word El. Okay, might as well, if I'm going to bring it up, might as well show you what I'm talking about. And it needs the big explanation of this. Okay, where did it go? Where did my big explanation go here? That's to be under L. Let me see if I pulled it out, put it over here. Okay, well, I guess I better look that up then. And because they use the two letters L for the word God, and actually there's 3 Hebrew words L with different definitions. So just wanted to point that out, but thought that was that. I thought that's what that meant. Okay, from the dirts. This should definitely have been yellow. So if anybody's going to be correcting me, it's going to be on the things I missed here. The site to look, you'll be okay, but this one is, I should have had yellow. The dirt's out of the ground, different elements today we know. And this tree that looked pleasing was the tree for thoughts. I'm having to add the word thoughts here. And it was the tree for knowledge, for good and evil. And when I'm realizing that I didn't like the word good, and good it had fruit, I needed to have a little bit of tying together with the word fruit, what's going to happen here. So I needed to add the word thoughts, and then this was how I arrived at the word knowledge. Because when you're looking for definitions for words, these have to be, this is kind of part of it, that I'm making sure that we now have a definition for the knowledge by thoughts. Good and evil is knowledge. None of these rivers make any difference. Any to fruit. Wait a second. Okay, okay. I was thinking they're gonna be tempted by Satan here, so just got ahead of myself here. As you see, now I've kind of, it's pulling up. These are notes to myself here. So, but the object here, let's not get that far. Let's go here, here again. I needed to add these words because, see, those that are editing the text think when you die, you're reincarnated. So surely you have to die. Doesn't, I needed to say not, you'll have to die and not live on earth, meaning you're still going to live, but you're not going to live on the earth. And that we're going to get is about the abyss. And we're going to learn about the abyss when it gets into Cain killing his brother, and our Creator defines that our soul is still living in the abyss. So, and not live on earth is the words I put here to keep to the format. Now here, I'm not going to use the word helper. I looked at the text, and that's what this is pretty much all about, is that when I get done, in which I have all the way finished Genesis, what I'm doing is, in some of these notes, is to remind me to keep looking for where that verse might be able to be moved someplace better than where it's at now, or what happens to it. Well, I can tell you right now it didn't make it, and the word helper is not going to be used. When he made man, male and female, they are equal, okay, in their own ways. Different, but equal. Don't get that. Don't even think that a female is second rate, okay? Who's ever saying that is completely stupid and ignorant. It just is wrong. And here I did the dirts. Sometimes, if it's done the second time, I will leave it as green because I've already explained it before. So that's going to be one way that some of the greens aren't always going to have to be turned to yellow. And he didn't call them, he named them. See, and name them. I don't think that needs to be a big difference. 19. No, but it's tied to proclaim a lot. So anyways, don't worry about that. But it's close enough for what I would say. Don't need to be yellow. The word so to then. I'm doing this sometimes because I use so many times as one of the major words, because sometimes these verses get so small I needed them. So the word then ends up becoming like the word so. It becomes an important part because then Wyvie, and I could have put the word caused down here, caused sleep to fall upon Adam. But I needed the word deep sleep to show the text. But the object is sometimes this makes it a third word in the verse. And that, I know, is what I'm trying to keep away from as much as possible, but it happens. It just needs to be there to keep the flow of the reading, with making so it doesn't cause problems when it's read. And if you were reading this while I was talking, yes, it's just a double, so got rid of it. And this deep sleep, I've made sure that it's here, and I needed it deeply. He slept deeply. At that time, we call it anesthesia. I think something like that. Anyways, they put you to sleep for surgery, and I've had that done to me a few times. Took a rib and flesh to skin. Now here, the word flesh means skin. Okay, so this is true. In other places, flesh will mean muscle. So I won't make this yellow. Fashion to maid, woman to female. Nothing too hard here. Let me check something here. Okay. Female's fine. Okay. Father and mother is replaced with the word parents. Now, should I make this yellow? I'm leaving it as is. Because it is summing these two words, and we know together they are parents. So I'm replacing two words for one word. Close enough to become one. And Adam and Eve were both naked and not ashamed of themselves. Now here again, the word themselves makes it the third word, not ashamed themselves. It just happens, and I just want to note that that's what happens. And wanted to make sure Eve was mentioned. She just doesn't need to be his wife. Now here, the text uses the word serpent. And I'm going to do a lot of changing here for the simple fact that the serpent or snake, well, this is not a snake. It is Satan. How come I still, okay. Let me check something. I want to check to see what oh, I already closed that. Let me look for a second. I got to bring up some text just to see how I edit it. Excuse me for scrolling fast. Okay. It was text I moved around, so I gotta look for it here. Let me grab this text here then. This you're getting to see some of the stuff that I've already moved and don't really need to show you until later. Satan is the most deceiving being and entered the earth, or entered Eden. Okay. So this is the text. Is the and this, that's why. Okay. Not crafty, but deceiving. Crafty and deceiving would be close enough. Of any, which would mean being here. And I would have to make that yellow. Got rid of that. Okay, I didn't know I forgot to go back and re-edit that. But live editing right there. And I knew it wasn't right. I knew I had corrected it. I just forgot to come back here and correct this text. Now, we know that the serpent is Satan, okay, because it's going to talk. So the thing here is it can't be a serpent. You got to remember, those that were editing the text don't believe in a creator and don't believe in a Satan, okay, and don't believe in Satan. But Satan, we have to introduce who he is here in these verses, and that's what I'm doing. Is the most, that's pretty reasonable. Crafty to deceiving, that's pretty good. Any, well, that would be being. So there's a slight difference there. So actually, the only really big correction here is the word Satan. And then down here, these, because it's a snake here, I got rid of all this, but he entered it. Entered, whoops. Oh, I must have, see, let me bring that up again here. And he entered Eden is what I have here. Okay. I was going to say, I thought I put Eden back in the text. And he entered Eden. Now, I finally corrected it. Okay. So here we have those that were worried about me getting rid of Eden. I found a perfect place to put it back in because he's got to go in and talk to Eve. So here is this verse, versing going together. Oops, let me check the time. Let me see here. Okay. So here I've got Eden put back in the text, and I've got Satan now in the text. Now we know who he is. Now he asked, the word said to ask. A lot of times I'll do this to be correct because he's going to be asking a question, okay? So he asked, not the woman. We know who the woman is, so let's put in Eve. Are you not to eat? See how the trickery of the words, I had to really think here when I was looking at this. He's got a tricker, so he's got to be a deceiver by using this. Are you not to eat anything in the garden? See how he's tricking her, he's deceiving her? I could have put trickery, but crafty to deceiving is when I started realizing what the text was here. It had to be deceiving. And you might know people who are deceiving like that try to trick you by saying words to lead you into what when you're arguing with people, people try to box you in so you can't say what you want to say, and then you lose the argument. That's done in a lot of debate forums. That's why they will define a word, what it means first. And then they'll ask you, what's your definition of that word? And then they'll reason out that word. Because if you're using one word trickerily, like, you need it to be defined as its meaning when you're arguing. And Eve replied. Now, this is not answered, but the word replied, but I'm not going to make it because it is a way of being said. But I'm also trying to make sure that when a reply is used, and an answer is used, these become the definition for what a reply is and what an answer is. I know I've looked them up, and I know that there's close on a few of them, but it's one of those tricky ones that might end up answer and replied would be confusing. But here it's properly used as replied. And I had to add the word knowledge here. And that is awfully strong chord. Should do that. Okay. Commanded us not to eat. She's trying to tell him who, and then that serpent, but Satan said to the woman, how come I don't have it as Eve again? And I have got to make myself a note. No, that isn't what I wanted here. I want all this. Go here. And then I can check it and do it off camera. Said to Eve, your Creator knows on that day that you eat it, not your eyes, but your knowing will be not open, but it'll be great. Now, could I use the word greater? Well, that's going to happen in a couple verses below. So I'm using the word great here as a teasing, deceiving type of information he's given her. And be like the Creator's knowing, like what he knows of good and evil. And then I had to add the word fruit here because we don't know. It wasn't an apple, so don't say it's an apple. Be honest, be truthful. It was a fruit that we don't know about, so be truthful when you speak. Every little white lie counts against you. So the more truthful you are, the closer you'll get to our Creator. She didn't take it. She picked the fruit, or picked its fruit, then looked at it and ate from it because it was the wonderment. So I thought that's what she would have had done. And then she gave it to her husband. And together they ate it, shared it back and forth until it was gone. And their knowing was great. But then they knew they were naked. They didn't sew, they twisted. They didn't fig leaves. Fig leaves are too small to do anything. You can't sew them together. So to be truthful, they twisted vines together, okay? So from sewed to twisted, I hope you understand that yes, it's different, but it's not. Leaves to vines, vines would be something that could be twisted to cover themselves, okay? So, and here I'm using the word then as the second part of the sentence, so like the word sow here, I had to add to make it the second word in the verse. So those two words, like I said, and then sometimes, like here, 1, 2, 3 in this verse. So, yes, I know about that, but it's just, you can't get away from. And he replied, asking him, that said to him, and asking, coming from the garden. Now, here's when I said the garden was different than, just wasn't vegetable garden with fruit trees and stuff as the garden. It was also that they could go and get vines. So this coming from the garden, maybe he knew it was time for them to eat. And then he went to the garden, and then they were not afraid. They were ashamed. They can't be, they're ashamed. It has to be ashamed. Can't be a word afraid. and then picked it, explaining it that it was picked, needed that word. And then down here, I've added the word cursed. And he didn't curse the serpent, but he cursed Satan. And because you've done this, cursed, that's why I'm using the word cursed up here. Sometimes these words that I'm taking out are giving me good clues to what kind of words I should be using as well, just to let you know. And not an entity, but a hatred. This is to keep the 12-year-olds alert and easy to keep them going in the book here. Keep them from not going outside the book. And then it's to their, not their seed, but their descendants. It means their descendants. So I'm not going to, well, I guess maybe the first time here, yes, descendants. But the next time and on forward, I probably won't. And then you will have a sickness, not a pain, but a sickness for conceiving, in pain bringing forth children. These are two separate things, so he's kind of, the curse to her is the sickness, which is morning sickness, which happens only after she conceives. And then it's kind of maybe the first time she's sick, it's not so, but when it happens again, then she knows she conceived, and the conceiving starts showing. And pain bringing forth children. So that, it's getting close to, and I want to explain more about this the next time. So, because it does have a lot to say here. So I'm going to stop at 15 and then continue here at 16 next time.